Lesson 20. Know thyself, and thou shalt know all was said, not of the body or the mind alone, but of the soul. All knowledge, all qualities, all powers contained in the great causeless cause and its first manifestation, universal life energy, are poured into that core of your being to be expressed by it. There is no end to the treasures it contains. It is an inexhaustible mine whose orb becomes constantly richer the deeper you penetrate into it. But as in everything else, this wealth must be sought. Energy, effort, and perseverance are required to unearth what otherwise will not sift down into your conscious grasp of its own accord. As it is not an easy task, under ordinary circumstances, to unfold the qualities latent in the soul, most people try and after a few unsuccessful endeavors lapse into a sort of coma of resignation or wistful expectancy. They pin their hopes to some happy chance, some lucky conjunction of circumstances that will someday accomplish for them at one effortless stroke what they failed to do themselves. This period of waiting usually extends itself undisturbed into the grave, because circumstances seldom conform of their own volition to the idle wish of one unable to mold them, or if they do happen to arrange themselves favorably are not recognized as the long-desired opportunity. The one way to develop into vigorous expression the wealth of qualities in your higher self is through opposition. That is the natural foil against which the human metal must whet and temper itself for ever greater responsibilities. Soul qualities are above all strong. They cannot express themselves through lassitude and weakness any more than the master swordsman can exhibit his flashing skill against the sluggish blade of a novice. A greater demand than any that has been met before is needed to call forth the added margin of response which represents progress. Life continually supplies all the excessive demands by which soul qualities can be exercised into an ever ampler expression. Situations are continually cropping up which challenge you directly into a form of activity new and strange to you and wholly beyond the bounds of your previous experience. Most people, measuring their inner strength against such demands, are dismayed by their apparent lack of sufficient power to meet them. They shrink from the task that circumstances have put in their way, accepting defeat before the test in the words that should be forever barred from your dictionary, "I cannot." Yet this absolute surrender is evidence only of an untrue perception of the facts. The individual who says "I cannot" is one who does not take into consideration his greatest resources, but allows his decision to be dictated by a stationary view of the matter. It is like assuming that dripping water can never fill a glass, because the one drop you see at a single hasty glance is so extravagantly small compared with the emptiness which engulfs it. Your own supply of strength may be as that drop in contrast to the appalling demand you see yawning before you, but like the drop also, it is no sooner swallowed in the hungry vacancy awaiting it than its place is occupied by another ready to follow. Behind each drop is a shoreless ocean of supply from which more will come, and in a rich flood if you will only open the tap within yourself. That supply is the universal life energy whose essence, comprehending all qualities and powers in limitless abundance, forms your own soul. The reason you sometimes feel that you are unable to cope with a problem is because you allow that positive current to trickle only very feebly into evidence through your human consciousness. You are sensible of the resulting lack of power and helplessness, elsewhere described as fear, and through the paralyzing effect of this fear you shut off still further the expression of qualities from your soul which would have copiously satisfied all demands. Such a self-devouring inversion is what flaunts itself finally in the gloomy assertion "I cannot." You will never encounter a problem that you have not the possibility to solve. The fact that the great law allows it to block your course indicates that you are capable of overcoming it, because the great law is above any possible perversion that could definitely cut off all progress. Therefore, if you do not find within your humanly conscious reserves the power to meet it, do not be discouraged. Open yourself through the contact with universal life energy and plunge wholeheartedly into the work ahead. With the help of that invincible force, carrying to you the very soul qualities of which you then stand so sorely in need, you will conquer one by one the obstacles which rise in your path and will fulfill all requirements as circumstances fashion them in front of you. Humanity has so long been accustomed to let their consciousness obscure rather than transmit the qualities latent in their soul that it is no quick or easy task to correct the habit. Victory does not come at a snap of the fingers, it must be earned. Yet the apparent defeats that you may suffer at first are defeats only if you accept them as such. To go down fighting, with fire in the blood and victory in the heart, only to rise anew, is never a failure, even though your immediate object may have escaped your grasp. You step to supremacy over disasters and successes alike, but as the disasters pry open your inner channels for tapping your soul powers, failures will become less and less frequent. Your inner success will express itself outside as success in your activities. Every time you overcome a difficulty or an obstacle, you unfold a corresponding quality of your soul. That much is added to the sum of your knowledge, strength, and power, and by the measure of that increase you have advanced just so much in your evolution. Each gain is a permanent gain, a base from which to progress further, and each forward step is accelerated by an intelligent use of universal life energy. By this is meant the correlation of activities with the soul qualities they are designed to express, so that they conform to the balanced standard characteristic of everything above the plane of human consciousness. This standard, represented by the four aspects of universal life energy, life, mind, truth, and love, is perfectly sustained in everything that makes up the individualized ray which you call your soul. Therefore, the only sort of action capable of passing into equally perfect expression the qualities of the soul is that in which energy, intelligence, accuracy, and joy are manifested to a corresponding degree. Your vital concern is to build those four cornerstones into your life by building them consciously and scrupulously into every act of your life, the small and seemingly inconsequential ones as well as the great. None are more important than others so far as developing your character is concerned. All secondary qualities are contained within the scope of these four main aspects, so if they are properly manifested, all the numberless details erected out of them and dependent on them will automatically adjust themselves. For that reason, the intelligent application of universal life energy with the distinct purpose of bringing out those aspects in each action you perform sharpens all your perceptive and executive faculties alike. You are alert to detect the right course to follow, quick to anticipate the thing needful to be done, keen to sense every twist and pitfall in your path, and vigorously resourceful in overcoming them. The strength you draw from that universal power is then not blind strength alone. It develops in you the skill to direct and use it most effectively and with the least waste. That natural development is a complete and all-around one, giving you equal poise and confidence in whatever direction you may turn, instead of merely overdeveloping your ability in one specific direction alone. Very often people perceive some particular lack or weakness in themselves which they wish to correct, and they focus their energies on cultivating the special trait that has aroused their concern. Perhaps when that one is stimulated into an excessive growth, it exposes by contrast the comparative weakness of an associated trait, which then becomes the object of attention. That leads to another, and so on interminably, until the individual is involved in a furious campaign of self-improvement, jumping from one little facet of his nature to another only to run into an endless chain of flaws beyond. To fall a victim to details in this manner is a tragedy, because it means a desperate amount of hard work with never any satisfaction at the end of it. Such an individual has lost his perspective. He is struggling in a mass of details which are legion, instead of concentrating on the four fundamentals from which they all spring. It is like trying to solve a complicated problem in mathematics by adding up the units one by one on your fingers rather than by simply multiplying in one short process. You may get there at last, but at a ridiculous expenditure of time and effort. The direct and obvious way to adjust disjointed details is to adjust the fundamentals on which they rest. Solve the problem first in its basic aspects, and the details will reveal out in natural and logical sequence. That is the advantage of developing in your life the four fundamental aspects of life: mind, truth, and love, because on them everything in your life is based. If they are brought into a strong and harmonious relation, all accessory qualities will blend obediently into corresponding accord. Therefore, remember always to retain your sense of proportion and values as one of the basic conditions for successful achievement. The more you tangle yourself in details, the more you lose your perception of all parts in relation to themselves and to the whole. You are opening the channels within yourself for the expression of your soul qualities only when you survey from that lofty vantage point of your being the whole broad field of your specific activities. When you descend from this clear perspective and limit your vision to within your conscious walls, the maze which envelopes you will swallow energies, purpose, and all in a busy industry which leads to no visible end. Mental vision is obtained from the highest part of your mental trinity, that aspect which you call superconsciousness and which forms the connecting link between your conscious self and the great causeless cause. Through superconsciousness you become aware of all the other qualities and powers that the great causeless cause pours into your soul for expression, but particularly do you attain through its access to universal intelligence. Your problem, if you wish to achieve the poised and sure, far prospect essential for success, is to rub away the crust of conscious limitations which divides you from superconsciousness and to establish your oneness with it. Once this is accomplished, your oneness with all universal forces and powers, which also express themselves through your superconsciousness, is inevitable. Your instrument for doing this is the ever-available power of universal life energy itself. The more you direct that force to the promotion of a fuller contact with your own superconsciousness, the better you will develop your inner channels for bringing it within your conscious reach. Your pineal gland, the organ of superconsciousness in your brain, will develop and function with growing ease, strength, and efficiency as constant use and the invigorating current of life force give it the exercise it needs. As it has been explained before, that gland is the physical door through which all the infinite knowledge and power in your superconsciousness, all the wealth of soul qualities backed up behind it, and all the boundless reserves in the great causeless cause also are admitted to your conscious self and introduced into the plane of your material existence. Therefore, the more often and effectively you perform the exercise of polarization described in Lesson 18, the wider becomes this avenue for your soul treasures to flow down into sumptuous expression in your life. We know that the soul is an aggregation of qualities, each of which manifests itself in a corresponding physical organ. The activities of all these qualities, clustered together and outlined in material form, constitute what is called the body. The body, therefore, is but the outlined expression of the aggregate activities of the soul. Yet the activities of the soul continually vary as its qualities are gradually unfolded and brought forth by the demands of a constantly modified environment. As the activities change, so also does the body, at least until the limit set by the individual's own conscious sphere freezes that plastic clay at about the age of 25 or 30. If the material shell were immune to the influence of this sphere, it would continue to change as it did in youth, keeping pace with the qualities unfolded through it. Also, if the soul did not function on the material plane, it would not require a material medium for its expression, and that most vulnerable and sluggish part of your triune nature would be dispensed with entirely. But the activities of the soul must always be outlined in a corresponding body. Those activities are not restricted to the soul plane, as in that case they would be outlined in the medium peculiar to that plane and wholly imperceptible to our coarse human senses. Neither are they exclusively mental, their embodiment then would be a mental one, as invisible as thought itself. The soul, in our present state of human consciousness, functions through these two rarer atmospheres, emerging ultimately on the material plane where it requires a material vehicle for its expression, the human body. The building of this physical body by the soul is called incarnation, or involution of the soul into matter. 3 distinct phases mark this progress: conception, gestation, and birth. The first of these, conception, is of paramount importance in that it constitutes the selective act by which a particular soul is admitted into material expression through the prospective parents. The soul, ready with countless others for incarnation and ripe with the urge to break into physical manifestation, awaits the summons from the physical plane which alone can open the way for it. That summons is supplied by the future parents who, during their physical union, when all their qualities and characteristics are fanned into an intense activity, discharge into space, a wave of vibrations compounded of all their traits in general, tempered by their special physical, mental, and emotional attitude at that moment. This wave, possessing its own distinct vibratory rate, strikes an instant response from the corresponding soul, which promptly rushes toward the prospective human mother and overshadows her. It does not enter into her, but sends down a ray of its own life which penetrates through her pineal gland and spinal cord to the human seed deposited in her womb by the father, the nucleus from which it must erect its own habitation. The real conception is consummated when this ray of the invisible, immaterial life of the soul becomes one with the material, visible life kernel through which it is to achieve expression. Gestation is the initial period of preparation before birth. The soul, unaccustomed to material surroundings, can at first manifest its activities only very feebly and imperfectly in constructing its own body, pouring itself gradually through the connecting shaft of life projected from itself and working its way by degrees into the physical prison which it must shape to fit itself. For that reason the human embryo goes through all stages of development, from the most primitive form characteristic of the simplest qualities to the most complex. Between the original microscopic human seed and its fruition in a human body, all the lower stages of animal life are represented successively, the physical shell changing as the soul, becoming acclimated, is able to unfold more and more of its qualities and activities. That process culminates at last in the completed body, the intricate vehicle which the soul has created for its expression on this earth plane. Once it has built the vehicle for its expression on the material plane, the soul is ready to occupy that vehicle independently. Through birth it frees itself from the maternal surroundings and thenceforth works out its further development directly, without the intervention of some other human medium. It steps out into the world for the first time as an individual being, a condition to which it at once proceeds to adjust itself. It breathes and takes food, learns to control its activities, to see, hear, smell, touch, and taste. It explores outward into its environment through its 5 senses, and presently extends its range by learning to walk and talk. As it throws itself more and more on its own resources, it becomes increasingly conscious of the fact that it is an independent and individual being. And under the stimulus of that realization it unfolds its qualities ever more richly and vigorously through the physical body which keeps pace with this growth. When full physical development, or the limit dictated by the present state of human consciousness, has been reached, the body ceases to grow, although mental and spiritual improvement continues unchecked. This physical halt occurs usually between the 25th and 30th year, from which time until the 50th or, more rarely, 60th year the physical apparatus remains about the same. Then it wears into a gradual decline, at first slow and almost imperceptible, but hastening with the passage of years toward the final dissolution called death. Yet death, as we know, does not mean extinction. It simply indicates that the soul, in obedience to the law of eternal progress, has raised its rate of vibrations to the point where they pass above the level of the material plane. Consequently, it loses hold entirely of the material plane and therefore of its own physical body, whose component parts disintegrate once the attractive power that garnered them together is withdrawn. That dissolution is merely evidence of one more step forward completed in the march of evolution. The correlation of each individual member of the body with the soul activity expressing through it spreads out an exactly detailed map of the relation between the two. Every respective organ, the outgrowth and product of the particular quality behind it, possesses a symbolical significance which, when read, teaches you the natural purpose to be achieved and where you have failed to achieve it. Altogether, these integral parts of a complete whole compose a vivid picture of the general trend of your being, with the strong and weak points etched in bold relief. For example, just as in your soul the 4 main aspects of life, mind, law, and love embrace all secondary qualities which must express through them, so in your body the physical manifestations of life, mind, law, and love form the alliance of vital organs on which all secondary ones depend. Without the bloodstream and life center cooperating to carry life to every remote cell and muscle, you would wither and die. Without a healthy brain to coordinate and direct your actions, you could not unfold your soul qualities into material expression. Without the complicated system of glands through which law governs the automatic functioning of the various organs, those organs would fall into ruin. Without the heart, the magnetic center of attraction or love, to pump the sustaining life current on its unceasing journey, you would cease to exist as a human entity. These four corners are the foundation of your physical being. When one crumbles, the whole intricate structure erected upon them topples to destruction. Within their bounds are piled up the specific units to be analyzed for the lesson they teach. The soul thinks. You have a brain which acts as a switchboard, the place where all connections between the physical, mental, and emotional parts of your nature are concentrated. Understand the laws which govern you so you can make the proper connections to take the utmost practical advantage of them in daily life. Think rightly, strongly, and harmoniously, and you will develop your brain into an ever more refined and vigorous instrument to help you work out your destiny. Its marvelous centers, uniting in a powerful accord, will merge in one clear focus their conscious beams and illumine far ahead the road which leads to greater success and happiness. The soul perceives people, things, conditions. You have eyes. Cultivate a keen, sure perception, and you will be astonished to find how your eyes improve as the soul quality behind them is burnished to a more lustrous expression. They become bright and clear and seem to burn away any film that blurs or distorts your vision. The more fundamental harmony you are able to distinguish beneath all the superficial disharmony, the more striking will be the change in them. They will become more beautiful and attractive, especially in color, will be luminous, expressive, supremely alive, and alert. The soul has the power to discriminate, consequently you have ears. Cultivate that power by training yourself to differentiate instantly between the right and the wrong, to pick out the false notes in the orchestral harmony of your life, no matter how subtly concealed they may be, and your sense of hearing will become correspondingly more acute. The soul is able to express, to voice its thoughts and feelings, hence your mouth, lips, tongue, and vocal cords. Develop the ability to express your thoughts and feelings strongly, harmoniously, and accurately, and you will discover that the progress made in this respect will be reflected physically also. Your mouth will become firm and well-shaped, while your voice becomes powerful and carrying, yet pleasantly melodious. These lessons written in the head alone are typical of others carved in every organ of the body. Your shoulders imply the faculty of the soul to carry responsibilities, a burden which grows with its unfoldment. Learn early in life the sense of responsibility, and your shoulders will become correspondingly well-proportioned, broad, and strong. The courage of your soul, its readiness to face boldly all kinds of opposition and difficulties in life, is manifested in the chest. A sturdy chest indicates a willingness to forge grimly onward in the face of any criticism or obstacles. Your heart, whose rhythmic beat sustains the life and harmony in your body, clearly expresses the capacity of the soul to love. The rhythm of love is back of life's harmony, gathering it into concentrated expression, keeping it going in the channels where it works best and serves most. A stimulation of the love vibrations in the heart brings the expansive feeling of joy, an abuse of them a bitter negative contraction. You experience them directly in your heart and consciously register and appraise them in your brain. Closely associated with these two major activities is a third represented by the lungs, in whose maze of air pockets the bloodstream trades its impurities for clear oxygen. The lungs are therefore the purgative organs, embodying the faculty of the soul to purify its own vehicle for expression, clarifying the life current of the body and thus sustaining it in a harmonious condition by drawing on the finer forces of nature, the gases. Descending to the next sector of your physical engine, you find an interesting assortment of digestive organs, the stomach, assisted by kidneys, liver, and bowels. There is embodied the soul's power to assimilate and digest everything of a positive, constructive nature that may be submitted to it, and to eliminate undesirable elements. Cultivate that soul quality by being fearless in your life, immune to worry, always ready to meet and absorb boldly every new element and condition that arises before you, and you will have no cause to anticipate trouble in your digestive tract. Your liver, kidneys, and stomach will function perfectly. Then be equally ready to eliminate waste and undesirable matter, that which you have outworn or outgrown, or which you wish to reject, and your bowels will supplement the activities of the rest with complete satisfaction. The freedom of the soul, its ability to move about at will, emerges into physical evidence in your legs. The ease and suppleness of that movement is represented in the joints of the body, but particularly in the knees and feet. They're the swiftness, strength, and poise of the soul, the fundamental factors of its standing on the physical plane, where you now live, are manifested. Your soul's self-reliance, its capacity to grasp, hold, and handle whatever it may come in contact with, the independence it is meant to have in this world, is conveyed in your arms and hands. Exercise that independence, strengthen your faculty of handling capably on the three planes the affairs that present themselves to you, and your increased efficiency in that direction will be reflected in shapely hands, strong and muscular arms. In analyzing yourself for the particular weakness and flaws to be corrected, do not lose sight of the dominating standard set by the four main aspects of life: mind, law, and love. All secondary qualities must manifest themselves in the terms of these four fundamental ones. Therefore make them the starting point, the central eminence, from which you conduct all your operations in any specific direction. Remember that they are the common denominator, the simplest figure to which all problems reduce, and concentrate your efforts on expressing them and emphasize them, realizing that when they are properly established, all the dependent associate items will fall neatly in line. Except in youth, change is never rapid in the human body. It is more noticeable in early years than later, but though it is continually taking place, it cannot be expected to produce an abrupt revision of your fleshly domicile. Several years of diligent and careful effort will give the soul an opportunity to refashion gradually its physical shell, in proportion as its qualities are brought into greater expression, because during that period the entire body will have been made over inside and out as old and outworn cells are replaced by new ones. In the course of that reconstruction, the former lines are bound to be modified to outline the alteration in the qualities they manifest. As you live now on the physical plane, a proper recognition and appreciation of that fact through the right sort of physical exercise will help materially in promoting those changes. It will render more plastic and impressionable the clay which your soul, as the sculptor, must mold to the form of its ever stronger and finer inner concept. In that way you will hasten the process of eliminating old structures and stimulating the constant growth of fresh ones in their place, an interchange which otherwise would not be so quickly and easily effected, although it would eventually be accomplished. The general arrangement of your body organs blocks out before your eyes a plain illustration of the scheme that should dominate all your activities: cooperation for progress. From first to last you are an assortment of complementary parts, two halves demonstrating respectively the male and female principles, paired off against each other and each supplementing the work of the other throughout your entire system. At the apex, mind, cold, aggressive, vigorous, ruthless, ruling from its seat of power the physical domain under it, represents the male element as opposed to the female element, love, which enthrones itself in the heart and holds that domain together to be ruled. This division holds true all down the line. It is apparent on the large scale as a visible seam beginning in the skull and seeming to split your body longitudinally down the neck and back. On either side of the line it suggests are the brain lobes, the two eyes, the paired lungs, 2 kidneys, 2 arms, 2 feet, etc. Every member of that compound body has the power to act individually and independently, yet in order to obtain the best results they must coordinate their activities. For this reason are the two halves welded together in a complete and inseparable whole. The purpose to which this coordinated action should be applied is manifested in the placing of all the most important organs. They are located in the front part of your body and have a unanimous forward trend. Eyes look to the fore and are hinged so that they can also perceive to either side, upward and downward along the path. You have no eyes in the back of the head because you are not meant to contemplate eternally the course already traversed, and the necessity for an occasional glance to get your bearings is provided for by your head, pivoted on its neck. Similarly with most other organs, even those which, for the sake of greater protection, are most deeply buried, they are marshaled in an order that tends ever to progress, onward and upward. Altogether, your physical being sums up in itself a response from which can be read the great need which called it forth. That need is for practical individuals whose feet firmly tread the solid ground of fact while their heads pierce the higher spheres, well-balanced, capable people who can see far and clear yet retain a true appreciation of values. Mankind must learn to appraise rightly the material life which has been set before them to be lived. If they were only meant to dream, to ignore and despise the physical environment in which their lot has been cast, to enjoy a loftier estate than that to which they have been born, they would not be weighed down with a material body. They would probably be built of some ethereal substance to which wishes alone are wings, enabling them to soar into higher regions. Give the world in which you live its due. Appreciate, enjoy and use constructively in every way the material plane to which you have been sent to work out your human destiny. Accept this lesson which your own body teaches, proceed with your feet strongly, yet lightly and swiftly carrying you over the firm ground of established fact, your body forging courageously onward above them, your head poised and alert, lifting you to view far horizons, to perceive obstacles, to understand and take account of all dangers from every side and to govern your progress accordingly. Then you will be fulfilling the purpose for which you were put on earth and which you must learn to fulfill before your evolution will carry you into the nobler condition to which you aspire. Exercises. Continue with the star exercise, relaxation, silence, and the continual contact with universal life energy. In addition to these, proceed this week with the new exercise, which is called exteriorization. The purpose of exteriorization is to promote the unfoldment into material expression through you of the wealth of qualities and powers which your soul, as a concentrated ray of universal life energy, possesses in itself. In order to perform this exercise, proceed as follows. After you have entered into silence, make the contact with universal life energy and establish a strong, rich flow of that power through you. Then focus that current on the task to which it is to be applied by concentrating your mind on exteriorizing, or bringing out into manifestation through the lens of your physical self, all the lavish abundance of qualities compacted in your soul ray. Perceive your relation as a material entity with the invisible shaft of universal life energy, your soul, of which you are the outgrowth. Understand the exquisite symmetry and perfection of those qualities which it pours down on you for expression, their absolute identity with the standard of life, mind, law, and love which is manifested without flaw in them. Try to feel that these qualities are expressed and outlined with equal nicety of proportion through your physical shell. Be aware of your life center as the spring out of which the current of universal life energy wells up fresh and untainted, sparkling with its clear essence of strength, eternal youth, mental vigor, joy and beauty and all the qualities native to its sense, that refreshing stream spilling from the core of your being outward along every nerve, filling you as water fills a bowl and brimming over through your skin itself. Feel your plastic flesh and muscles, the tissues of your body, responding to the strength and harmony of which they are the conductors, molding and adapting themselves subtly to the perfect qualities carried into them for expression on the persistent tide of this force. The more you promote the expression of your soul qualities through your physical self in this manner, exteriorizing them through their corresponding material medium, the more they will modify the shape of that medium to suit them. The outline of your features and body is bound to change as it accommodates itself to that of which it is the vehicle. You deal with the cause, concerned mainly with passing your soul's qualities into manifestation as nearly perfect as they are fundamentally. The physical reflection takes care of itself. Thus you are able to achieve a dream that has always entertained the longing fancy of mankind, to uncap the fountain of eternal youth in your body, rejuvenate it with the life energy of the universe and make it always stronger, more harmonious and beautiful. Questions and answers to Lesson 20. 1. What is necessary to develop the stronger physical expression of soul qualities? What is necessary to develop the stronger physical expression of soul qualities is opposition, to challenge the greater exertion of those qualities through their material channels. 2. Where is this to be found? Opposition is to be found in the situations and problems that arise voluntarily in life without being especially sought. 3. Why do people often shrink from meeting problems that confront them? People often shrink from meeting their problems because they consider those problems only in relation to their own limited store of forces to meet them and fail to count on the limitless stores of universal power to which they have access. 4. Will you ever encounter a problem that you have not the possibility to solve? Problems that cannot be solved will never be encountered by you, because the very fact that the great law permits them to confront you indicates that you have the possibility to solve them. 5. Of what does progress consist? Progress consists of the margin of effort in excess of any that you have made before, exerted in response to a greater demand, and by which you unfold that much more of your soul qualities. 6. Of what importance in the development of secondary qualities are the four fundamental qualities of life: mind, law, and love? The importance of the four fundamental qualities of life, mind, law, and love in the development of secondary qualities is that through the exercise and development of those four fundamental qualities, all the secondary ones erected out of them and dependent on them are automatically developed and correlated also. 7. What purpose does superconscious serve in this process? Superconsciousness opens out for you a clear perspective of the myriad details in which you are hopelessly lost as long as your vision is limited within the bounds of your human consciousness alone. 8. What is incarnation? Incarnation is the involution of the soul into matter. 9. What determines the sort of soul to be born to prospective parents? The kind of soul to be born to prospective parents is identified by the rate of the vibrations those future parents discharge into space during their physical union, and which attract a soul of a corresponding rate. 10. How are the male and female principles in your soul indicated in your physical body? The male and female principles in the soul are indicated in the physical body by its distinct division into two halves and the consequent pairing of organs in it: 2 eyes, 2 hands, arms, legs, kidneys, lobes, etc., each of which must supplement the activities of the other if the best results are to be obtained. 11. How can the physical body be modified in form and outline? The physical body can be modified in form and outline by cultivating a more harmonious and vigorous expression of the soul qualities of which it is the vehicle. 12. What dominant purpose is suggested by the general arrangement of the body organs? The dominant purpose suggested by the general arrangement of the body organs is progress, to be achieved by the cooperation of all parts for a sure and steady advance toward a forward goal.